Decision Diaries.
Welcome to Decision Diaries. Today I'm here with my husband, and we are going to talk about a spontaneous decision that we made yesterday morning. I'm going to time it. I'm going to say 10 o'clock.
It was more like around 9:15, but who cares?
I mean, really, honey? Like 45 minutes? Like, really? You're going to correct me on 45 minutes? Okay.
Yeah.
Whatevs. I got up fairly early for what I would say
You
is a
didn't
Saturday
get up
morning.
early. Come on. Give me a break. I got up early, walked the dog, took a shower, fed the dog, played with the dog, and you come rolling in. Then what happens?
Okay. So I wake up 5 in the morning after my 10-mile run. No, I'm just kidding. So, okay. I wake up when I wake up on Saturdays, and I just want everyone to know this is a Saturday before tax day tomorrow. So today is Sunday. Tomorrow we pay taxes. Saturday, I was thinking about taxes. So maybe that's why I slept in. So I woke up and I decided, and I had a smile on my face.
You did.
And I went to you and I said, let's do it. What did I say? What are we doing?
Yeah, you kind of came out and you said, "What are we doing?" And there was an advertisement that was sent to us in the mail. Our friends, Mickey Mouse and friends, sent us a little ad. We haven't heard or seen them in 4 years or so. And that little ad was sitting there, a little flyer was sitting on our kitchen table, and we just didn't throw it away.
Now, you say we didn't throw it away. So who normally gets the mail, sifts them out, and throws things away?
Yes.
Okay, so normally that is me. And I do not like to keep advertisements around.
No.
But something internally said to me that Bruce and Lynn need a break. And so when I saw the little flyer from Disney, specifically for Florida residents,
Yes.
specifically around annual passes, a part of me said, I'm just going to keep this just in case.
Right. And I'm glad you did. I mean, we kind of looked at it, and you woke up with a smile on your face. And, we've been grinding so hard at work last, probably 4 or 5 months, paying off all our old debt from our last big vacations. So, which were great. And we just haven't gone anywhere. And, having a kid in Orlando, knowing that behemoth, Walt Disney World's right there, and not going is kind of driving me a little nutty. And I'm just like, I really want to go back. I haven't been in 4 years since the day before. Well, I guess we went after COVID, when they had the restrictions. But, the last time I went when it was wide open like it is now was the day before they stopped everything at COVID. And I was ready for a trip like that. I need some magic, man. Come on.
Yeah. And we cannot wait for grandkids for this. So grandkids are far, far away. So, okay. So if you're having a moment during your week, I suggest whatever you are feeling spontaneously to do, you go with it. So, okay, we are navigating this. Should we not?
Oh, yeah.
And we are trying to be very financially responsible. But at the same point, sometimes I feel like not leaving our children anything or any inheritance is just how it's going to be, because my mental health is too important. And I think that sometimes, some people for their mental health will go shopping. Some people will do some other things. But for us, I think what really helps us is getting away from the house.
Yes.
Going somewhere that is just a far enough distance that we sort of leave everything behind. And so Jacksonville being 2 hours away from Orlando is kind of our perfect amount of time. We can go down there during the day. If we get there early, we may not need to get a hotel room, and we can come right back.
Right. And we have made that trip, I don't know how many times in the past. And, when we got in the car and we hadn't made a decision yet, we even got in the car and we went to Chick-fil-A to get some biscuits, the second happiest place on earth.
Yeah, because they're so nice to you. They're so nice to you. Like, they hand you the biscuits and they smile, and you're like, oh my God, I need Chick-fil-A. I need Disney. I just want everyone to smile and wish us the best day ever.
Yeah, exactly. And that's pretty much what yesterday was. It was such a great little day, and it was beautiful out. The weather was perfect. And, we're jumped in the truck, got a little biscuit on, and headed south. And we're driving down the road, and I think we made a phone call to Walt Disney and said, "Hey, we're coming down. How do we do this? We haven't done this in several years." And the person we talked to was not a commissioned salesperson. If she was, she would have made a big deal yesterday. But yeah, it was just an impromptu moment, and it
Well,
worked out.
okay, first of all, she was not AI.
No,
Okay,
not
there
AI.
was a little bit of a press 1, press 2 situation, but at this point, we're like giddy little children. We're already in the car. We've got our Diet Coke and Coke, and so the caffeine is flowing. And now we're trying to figure out how we can be both spontaneous and physically responsible.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're starting to go through our bills and we're starting to make commitments to each other
Right.
on what we are going to give up so that we can replace some of our other entertainment with what we like to call our Disney Escape annual pass entertainment. So, what are some of the things we gave up, babe?
I think I gave up HBO Max, Paramount. What were some of the other ones?
I was planning to give up Sirius Radio, but
Sirius
then
Radio. Yes,
they
I gave up
actually
my Sirius Radio.
yeah, well, and then they reduced mine to $5.
Right.
So, okay, there's some money back right there.
Right.
And then we also kind of made a commitment that, maybe we won't go out to eat so much during the week.
True. We did that.
See all these responsible things that we're talking about.
Yeah, the whole thing, it won't add up to be the same, but in our mind, it was, and it worked. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I feel like if I just don't eat out one day of the week, that paid for the Disney Pass.
I think you're right. I think in some way, yes, you did.
Yes, 1 + 1 is 3.
So yeah.
1 + 1 is 3. So, okay, so we're on the phone with, again, very, very happy customer service person. And we're making sure and we're asking her all kinds of questions about, what annual pass is good for us, being that we are Florida residents. And we also didn't want to, we didn't know anything about the passes.
Right.
All we had was just a little blurb on a little advertisement with a little smiley face. It just was making us smile. Of course, we're reminiscing about the other times that we've had annual passes with our boys. And so all these memories are flooding back for these little empty nesters. It just kind of made me realize how quick it all went by. I'm going to get all the clump. But we're on the phone with her, and was really great about, we were asking a lot about park hopping.
Yeah, we were park hopping, just silly questions about, what is this now? How does this work? Because it's all changed since the last time we went. And I was kind of worried a little bit, but after talking to her, I was like, let's do it. Let's go. We're here. We're going for it. So
yeah. And she was like, no pressure at
None
all.
None.
And she was just like, take your time, call me back, or, if you have any other questions. So then I became tech support. So Disney's app has changed quite a bit.
Yes.
And what's, anytime that you sort of leave an app and you go back in it to create a login and you start to type in your email address, yeah, they remember you from the past. And then they're like, what was your password? Okay, well, wait a second. Hold on. That was 2020. Like, I don't even know how many passwords I lost after 2020 because I didn't go into a lot of apps. So no clue, no idea, but I'm working that tech support. And then we get inside the Walt Disney app, and they've got a lot of new cool features.
Yes, they do. And it's state of the art, as you would expect. And it was so easy to navigate. And when we got down to the park, we started at Hollywood Studios.
Oh, we're already at the park already? I mean, I really feel
studio,
like
well, I mean, the decision was made, and
we were going.
We were going. Well, it kind of changed. I mean, you're kind of glossing over a little bit. I mean, we were just gonna go for a couple of days, and then we're talking to the lady on the phone, and she was such a good in person and talking to us and telling us everything that was going on and everything, and it was just such a good experience. And we hadn't had annual passes in 4 years. And I just said, yeah, what are the annual pass options? And I think the look out of your face was like, I think you started grinning from ear to ear. I think I could have, I could have pushed you over with a feather. And you were just like, let's go.
Okay. So I think details here. we originally were going to do the 4-day pass, which was what the little advertisement said about the Florida resident. But then, okay, financially, it makes sense. 1 + 1 is 3. That if you have to pay for parking
Yep.
all 4 times, that's another $100.
Yep.
And then if you only get to go 4 times a year that may not align to your schedule, you might not even get that fourth one in before your 4 times are up. And I think there were some other restrictions there. And so for just another $100, we got a whole year. So that works.
Not quite $100, but I didn't care because it's our, we trimmed down our, like we said, we trimmed down our entertainment budget, and we made room for these passes, and we're doing it. We're done. We're signed up. We're ready to go. And
Okay.
I'm glad we did it. It was a fun. It was a fun communication to drive down the road and have this
Wow.
conversation because we hadn't been in so long, and we were like two little high school kids driving down to Orlando.
Well, I tell you what's really interesting is we were reinforcing each other's decisions. Like, I think there was a moment where you were like, "Are we doing the right thing?" And I'm like, "Well, we're already an hour down the road." And then there was a time that I was like, "Well," I started going through our bank account and started trying to figure out how many subscription apps we have and how many of those apps we can turn off so that we can make room for Disney. So, between my tech support and reinforcing the decision physically,
Yes.
and you, kind of checking me every now and then, like, we could just go down and visit our son and that'd be it and drive back. It's like, no. So, okay. So now once I think we're making this decision, we're making this commitment.
We're on I-4 now.
We're on I-4. We're gonna do
trying to
this.
finish.
So then now we turn into reminiscing. And
Oh, yeah.
I think just that in itself brought us happiness.
Oh, yeah.
Like we were talking about the first time our children went and when they went with their grandparents and when we went with other families. And there are some families out there that had annual passes when our kids were younger. And we would meet up with them. And I started texting them and I said, we are making this decision. So I think that I should be paid commission because I think that some other families or empty nester families are kind of feeling the same way we are, where we like to go back and reminisce, but we also, I think, very much enjoy being adults at Disney.
That was a different experience.
It is a different experience. So there's no kids in the back, kicking the back of our seats or watching videos or watching a movie on the way down or teenagers or anything like that. So it's just you and me now. And I really got excited about us adulting at Disney.
That was fun. I did not think. I mean, we kind of did it a couple times, but not for a full year. But I think it's going to be the easiest year we ever had because
Well, it's going to be a lot of drinking. So when we drove through the Mickey Gates, because
Right.
we have been away from the Mickey Gates for 4 years. And so when we drove through, I mean, immediately we started getting our game plan together. So many decisions.
Oh, yeah.
What rides? What lines are we going to get into? What rides are we really kind of aiming for the day? And what's really interesting is that I think our first decision was we drank too much Coke and we had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, and the amazing thing is we were so excited we made it with 0 stops, which if you know Lynn, impossible. Okay, that's totally impossible. My kids and her, at least a 3-stop drive for 2 hours. So no, it was. We got there, we stopped, we got our tickets, got in there, we did a potty, and then we walked around and just was kind of like smiling and it was just a big smile. And I think the first thing we did, other than use the bathroom, was text our kids and said, "We kind of did a thing today."
Yeah, and we did it without you guys. So we did take a picture. The park that we ended up choosing was Hollywood Studios, and I think that was a great decision too. One of the things we didn't want to get into a long ticket line because we were kind of imagining that now that this big Florida resident advertisement went out and it was a beautiful day in Florida, breezy, not too hot, we were thinking there's probably a long line at the counter of people that are just like us, just spontaneously deciding, yep, we're all coming back. The bloggers are coming back, influencers are coming back, all those big fans of Disney that like to go to Disney so much on beautiful days like yesterday are all coming back. So we decided Hollywood Studios was going to be a more personal experience of working through our tickets, getting our apps, signing our agreements, setting up. Yes, we did. We did do a payment plan because it is interest free. So that was very responsible. So we did the payment plan, went to the bathroom, took the picture to make our kids super jealous. And I believe the older one we FaceTimed.
Oh yeah, we FaceTime in front of the Millennium Falcon just for the fun of it, and
Oh, yeah, in front of Millennium Falcon,
just
I
because we
forgot.
could.
Yeah, we first posted to our family group chat waiting for all the little sad emojis, and then that didn't happen, so we had to wake up our
Oh yeah,
son.
we gotta rub it in a little bit. I mean, come
Yeah,
on,
a
this is us.
FaceTime at Millennium Falcon. And our next stop was the beer garden in
Yes,
Star Wars.
yes. The beer garden's right beside Star Tours, and that's a great little beer garden. Had a couple beer. No, only had one beer there, and then we went to the
Well, don't
cantina.
move on to the cantina yet. I have a little bit to say
Here we
about the
go.
beer garden.
Go for it.
Okay, so last time the beer garden, 2020, my husband and a friend of his sat in the beer garden quite a bit while our two younger sons
Right.
went around, and that was right before the big shutdown. And the trees were, I think, just recently planted, and the beer garden was a fairly new concept.
Yeah, it was a new concept there at the time.
Now I want to tell you, the trees are beautiful
Yes.
and the beer garden was fully packed. And I got into a couple of great conversations, sharing a table with other families sitting in the beer garden, standing in line to get the
Oh yeah.
beer. And so for me as an extrovert, and you're an extrovert too, it just filled my bucket back up with happiness and joy,
Did.
and I immediately knew we made the right decision.
Right. It was. I just felt like I was back. I don't know, 1998 or 20
Before kids?
before kids, and even after kids. I mean, after we had our kids, I felt like I was back there. I was excited to be somewhere, and I knew I wasn't. I can be there all day, and I can walk around. It's going to be, it's going to be a good walk. It's going to be fun. We're going to see all these things. We're going to see all these people, and it's just going to be entertainment. And it's not going to be watching TV in front of my house or in my living room inside. It's not going to be mowing the grass, which I don't want to do anyway. So
It was not going to be recalculating our taxes
so
we
we've
were
already done that.
responsible. We did that before we went, so we
Right.
knew what those numbers look like, which we do owe. And then,
Yeah.
so okay, so another thing, there were lots of characters. And I told him, I said, maybe as adults, I don't think we ever really had the total patience. We only had the patience one time to stand in line for Kylo Ren, which is a whole another fun family conversation. But other than that, we kind of sometimes avoided standing in line for the characters. But now, as kind of an older person returning back to Disney, I think I'm going to turn childlike, and I think I'm going to challenge myself to see if I can, if there's a short line, if I can get pictures with the Disney characters. We also did catch an impromptu show, Star Wars, with the stormtroopers and Kylo Ren. And there was an adorable little child dressed as a stormtrooper, and they were interacting closely, which is so nice to see,
It was cool.
and we did get on the Millennium Falcon with some young people. So we are now sort of the old people, empty nesters of Disney. And we know how the game's played, right? We walk up to a wait line, and if it's like 50 minutes, we were like, no, we know we can do better than that. And we'll know how to work this app soon. I don't think we were in a rush. That's the other good thing about annual passes is you don't feel like you have to get everything in a day. So we stayed at the beer garden, had good conversation, great people watching.
Yes.
And then when we went to the Millennium Falcon, standing in line for 30 minutes, I actually welcomed it because I think everybody around us was in a good mood, all just a very good vibe.
It's fun to see everybody so excited,
And the
about being
kids.
there. The kids, everybody's excited. And I don't know if it's creepy to be an adult at Disney. I don't know if that's the right thing to say or not. But we weren't at Magic Kingdom, but it was just fun. I mean, I just had a good time. It was just it
Well,
was
be more specific.
I think I was it was a good getaway. I turned off my day. I didn't have one text from work. I didn't worry about work. I didn't care about work. I was just having fun looking around and exploring, and everything that's you know kind of grown out a little bit. It's so nice to see the trees filling everything in. It's just nicer. It was a good experience. At the end of the day, it was just a great
Well, and
experience.
I will have to say, it did look like 2020 was washed away.
Yeah,
I was
it did.
so happy to see the sidewalks, bright colored sidewalks, no plexiglass, no, obviously everybody's still washing their hands. Everybody's being really great about that. But there were just no, no signs. Yeah.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
no signs. And I think I like going places where there's not these tons of signs kind of telling me what I can or cannot do. I think that's just a rebellious side of me. So, what else happened is we were able to jump to other parks. Thank you, Disney, for bringing that back. I just want to thank the person, whatever executive was in the room that was like, we have to do this or otherwise we're going to lose the layfields. So they brought it back. They got the layfields back. We jumped over to Epcot and, we said, we're going to have to do a cheap drink around the world now because we are probably not going back over to Europe. We're going to try to still be financially responsible and not and hold off on going back to Europe for at least another year or so. So, Epcot, you want us. We are just going to travel to Venice via Epcot. And I also did a little shout out to one of my other podcast guests that I met in London. We went to the pub
Yep.
in England in Epcot, and I texted her and said, "It's not the same, but if you want to come to Florida and meet us at Epcot in Epcot's England, I'm happy to have another beer with you at the Epcot England pub."
Well,
So,
when we went to Epcot, of course, we had to go eat dinner because they got some of the best restaurants. Because you can have Chinese food, you can have Indian food, or I guess it's Moroccan food, German food, Italian. You got the whole list of countries. And so we chose Chinese food because we're always looking for a good Chinese food. Let's be honest. Um, and we eat, and then we're kind of just walking around enjoying. Of course, we have to go to see Nemo because there's so much nostalgia walking through there when you go see
well,
Nemo.
Nemo is also one of those rides that I highly recommend because it hardly ever has a line. It just sort of flows.
Yeah, it does flow really well.
And it was also the Flower and Garden Festival.
Yes, that's
So
right.
I want to just say that visually, besides the fact that 2020 was wiped away, the bees were buzzing, the butterflies were around. And if you have not been back to Epcot in a while, if it has been a long time, you may have recalled that Epcot, to look very modern, did have a large amount of concrete. Well, they have since broken that up with different structures that are very tree like or artsy. And then little lounge areas that have really comfy chairs, and then a lot more landscaping.
Yeah.
And there's still some fountains around. I think Epcot was really at first was really like concrete and fountains and a little bit of trees. Now it's more trees. And then, of course, being the flower festival, I mean, the flowers were just incredible. But if you just kind of always wrote off Epcot as something like, well, I enjoy drinking around the world, but the rest of Epcot is kind of a concrete jungle, think again. Because I was like, hey, I could bring my laptop and work in one of these little lounge areas for the day if for some reason I need to take a conference call on a Friday. It literally looks like you have a workspace inside of Epcot.
Yeah, it looks really nice outdoors. It's clean, and like you said, the trees, these very nice, and everything was just that whole area right behind the Spaceship Earth thing. They've changed that whole thing, and they're still changing a lot of it, and it has a lot of sitting, it's just very plush, like a nice park. I mean, like a really nice park. and it's kind of nice, and you can work, and you see people sitting there, they're sitting on the phones, relaxing and talking and having a good time. And it's just, of course, there's a Starbucks. I know Lynn doesn't like Starbucks, but there's also a Coca-Cola place right across the street. So you could get your Diet Coke or your Starbucks and sit down and work if you wanted to. It was kind of surprising how nice that was. I didn't expect that part of Epcot. And then yeah, we just kind of tooled around, looked at all the flowers, I guess. And
Well, we drank again.
yeah, we did have
I
another
mean,
beer.
I think we were getting our drink on early because we knew we were going to eat some food, see our son on the way out, and then of course we knew we had a very late night drive, and we did come home Saturday night at 2 in the morning. Yay us.
Yeah, we rocked
Because
that.
I mean, we're old and we were still driving and we got home safely. Not, we stopped drinking early on, everyone. So we got home and took our time, and we got home at 2 in the morning. The other thing I'd like to say is that Empty Nesters Unite. I want to say, I think we're going to join probably some little Disney groups. You followed some Disney groups before. I know there was a great couple of podcasts out there for Disney groups, but along the way, when we were like in the cantina, we met a very nice couple
Yep.
who were also there without their children, without their grandchildren, and kind of in their next stage of life. And they said the exact same thing. They said, it just kind of breaks up our year. They don't even live in Florida. They come down from Atlanta
Yep.
occasionally just to kind of break up the grind. And I was like, okay, again, reinforcing our decision
Oh yeah.
that we made the right decision.
All day long. It was everything we decided was just like everything we decided. It just seemed like you're going to be all right. You made the right decision. Enjoy it. It's going to be a great year, and I'm excited. I mean, there's so many restaurants to go eat at the Epcot. There's so many to eat at all throughout there
Well,
that are really fun places.
I
So
will say the best thing about having an annual pass to Disney is because they change up some of the events. And in the past, because of the kids events, I wasn't able to go to say Dapper Day, or I wasn't able to go to the Flower and Garden Festival. So now without the kids, we can do any of those things, and we can do any of those things the actual day of it. We can wake up in the morning at a nice healthy 9-10 o'clock and start heading down there and be down there for lunch. So
yeah.
that's really I think that's really kind of important. And if anyone else is on the fence, especially all of those people that I texted on the way down, join us as we enjoy looking back. But I think we looked back and we remembered all the times. Oh my gosh. Oh, I do have to share this.
Go for it.
I enjoyed, as we went on each ride, kind of talking about the best moment that we had with our children or with other families that we went to Disney with in the past. But what I also enjoyed was, you know, watching other families with not staring and watching other families like staring, but I mean, we were on a ride with just an adorable little girl
Oh yeah.
wearing a cute little outfit. She had just learned how to talk. So as each character went by, she was naming all of them in this cute little adorable little 2-year-old voice, and that was precious. And then I towards the end of the night, it's called the child meltdown time. I mean, these kids are like really tired and they all show it in different ways. Our kids sometimes would just completely pass out, and you would have to hold them like just dead weight like backpacks. And there was one little child that was just really giving his parents a hard time, and I wanted to look at his parents and I wanted to say, "Yeah, like in this moment, that sucks." But as soon as you get that child locked down in the car and you start to drive for about 5 seconds, if you just turn everything off, they're going to be out and they're going to be asleep and they're going to go back to being your little angel again.
And the next day, that kid's going to say, "Wow, that was the best day ever." And you'll totally forget about the meltdown the kid had prior to that.
I mean, and this was a pretty good one,
It was
and
a good meltdown,
it
I
was
gotta
a good
admit.
meltdown, and that dad was pretty strong because you kind of had to carry him like a like a,
Like a briefcase.
like a briefcase, even though it's a briefcase that was like kicking and screaming, and everybody that was sitting on the tram as we were waiting to get to our car, we all said the same thing. It was, I believe, almost 11 o'clock at night.
It was
And I can
10:30 at
only
least, yeah.
imagine that that child had been up since 8 in the morning.
Right.
So I just want to wrap this up and say, look, sometimes you wake up in the morning and whatever you decided the night before your day was going to look like, you just got to mix it up. And you have to know when it's time to do something spontaneous, and then you have to really communicate with your significant other and reinforce that decision. I mean, at
Absolutely.
any point in time, if you would have brought up, like, "Oh, well, this bill might be coming up," or if you would have said, "Well, we've got this person's graduation, or we need to do this, or we need to do that, or maybe the house needs X, Y, and Z," that could have done it, and I'm so glad you did not.
Thank you. I had a good time. Sometimes the grind, we've been working so hard, and the grind, I needed a break. I needed a break from reality, I guess. And it was such a fun day. It was just a very good, fun day. My feet hurt when I got home, but not nearly as bad as I thought it would. And I did 20 some odd, 20,000 some odd steps. And I'm like, okay, well, that's good because I don't do that every day. So I'm getting a little
Yeah.
bit of exercise.
Yeah, it does make you walk around a lot, and I will say that I cannot believe there are some things that I look back on now and I'm like, as you get older, you start to make the right decisions. One of them was we now have the right shoes.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, over the years, I have tried sandals, I have tried different tennis shoes, I have tried all kinds of things at Disney, and I just was like, oh, I need to face facts that by the end of the day, my feet are going to be hot coals because I have flat feet. But that is not the thing. We finally found decent shoes. The
Shout
other
out
thing
to
too,
Hoka.
yeah, the other thing too is that I was one of those people that was like dripping with sweat as I'm walking around Disney. And then the second I got into a ride, I was like cuddling up to my husband, like, everybody cuddle around me because I am so cold. And I finally found the perfect jacket. We are also experts on how to pack and not buy water at Disney. We we don't buy water at Disney. We buy alcohol, we buy Coca-Colas, but we do not buy water. And you were really impressed the fact that I actually had a couple of granola bars.
Yeah, that's a total mom thing, by the
That
way.
was I
You
know,
had a
I can't
snack
even
in your purse.
I can't even believe I still had those skills. Like I was shocked that I had I had those Disney skills. So, okay, if Disney's not your thing, but there's something else spontaneous that takes you away from your house, that gets you out and about walking. And I just want to say the very last couple that we met on our way back to our car, they were in, I want to say, late 70s, in incredible shape, and they were in it to win it. They were dressed with the best shoes and everything. And you can keep going until you're 80.
Yeah, the magic's alive, man. Go do it.
Yeah.
I guess my question, Lynn, is when are we going back?
We are probably going to go back for your birthday, but
You know it.
I feel like Mother's Day is also a really important day when everybody needs to be nice to moms, and Disney knows that. So I really want some happy Mother's Day from all the cast members at Disney, and I am
That's
looking
another
forward.
little tip for people. If you go to Disney on your birthday, or you're with somebody with their birthday,
An anniversary.
or anniversary, make sure they get a button. I promise you, and I'm not going to tell you the secret, but I will promise you it will be the most entertaining day at Disney you will ever have. I just can't.
Yeah, and I think the other
So
the
much
other
fun.
thing that we're deciding to do differently is that we want to go to some of those secret things about Disney that we couldn't go to before because we had our children and they had their own agenda. So like you said something about there's some champagne place. I don't think we ever went to that champagne place. And there's some like little things we can participate in.
Right.
And so we're going to discover that along the way. Happy to share those tips and tricks. And where can you find all of this stuff? We will post the Florida resident link for Disney annual passes. Not that we get any commission or anything like that, but if you're trying to make an impromptu decision based off this podcast and you decide you want to join us, hey, hint, hint, families we've been going to Disney with before in the past, I'm going to make it easy for you. Go to decisiondiaries.com and anything else you want to add other than I just want to say if you're listening to this podcast and it's Monday, tax day, head to Chick-fil-A where somebody has to be nice to you.
It's their pleasure.
It is their pleasure. And then think about what's going to make you happy. And by all means, if that's a impromptu, spontaneous decision, you know what?
Go for it.
We're kind of all in. Our kids can earn their own inheritance. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you, honey, for supporting that decision.
Thank you, Lynn.
Decision Diaries.